So we have seen get entity implementation and get entity set implementation, both of them. Now we are going to learn post. So for post, we need to have certain post criteria. What we need to post exactly. So on this particular example we have taken, we have these many fields here. Come on, where is it? Okay, I'm looking into the different one. Sorry, I just scared where this has gone. So we are looking at these many properties. So meanwhile, I'm preparing something for our training. So I'm at the moment I'm just having it on my paper. I'm just still drawing it. So once it is ready, I'll get create all these database tables in our system, and I'll go through what we are going to do. So meanwhile, as our uh, training needs to go on, so we will proceed with the post protocol with some other different approach. Once I think most probably I'll be able to present this tomorrow, so that we can all implement or work on this particular stuff towards our Fury app implementation as well. So there will be some approval processes and etc. as well. Some of the configuration tables. The configuration tables will drive the approval processes, and basically I'm naming it as travel planner. So this travel planner will have header and detail, and then some configuration tables along with the approval. So in this case, we will be having the two kinds of apps, one with approval and the one with the actual user. So the approvers, I'll be assigning the users within our user IDs, so that they can directly go in and they can approve it. So beforehand, I will be um, using this for towards OData development, so that we can put some data in it. So if all together keep inserting data, the data will be collected automatically. So I'll come to this tomorrow. Let me go on now. Bear with me a moment, please. So now we know what are the methods influencing our service implementation in terms of the create, delete, get entity or post, update. So in the same manner, if we want to create something in our system, okay, so we will need to persist data. That means we are just asking our OData service to insert some data in our system, right? So for that, we need to have some persistency in our system. So what I'm going to do, probably, I will be creating a G-table for now for our example, and we will insert the data into our G-table using the post request. So rather using the sales order create functional modules, I'm not pretty sure whether those functionalities work in this training system, as that comes in one of the functional area. Maybe configurations uh, might not be set properly in the system. So I do not want to get in trouble in between. So I'll just quickly go ahead and I'll create a table. Um, so I'm creating sales order header, and let me go ahead with this. Whatever the option I choose, that's fine. Fields, and meanwhile, let me open this. Let me take this reference. So that I have list of data elements here.
Sorry to disturb, but if you don't mind, can you take your theme as a standard one? It use some reference different able to see properly.
Sorry, have you?
Screen theme.
Okay. Let me.
Yeah, signature theme. Signature theme is better.
Um, Let me close my SAP logon as well. Relaunch for the signature. Okay, is it better now?
Yeah.
Um, just getting it. Okay, and so let me go ahead here and pick up the fields. Go ahead, expand entity type, sales orders type, and properties. Let me take all these properties as it is and put them here. Okay, so sales order number is going to be the key field for us, and sales order number. Okay, so now I need to pick up the right data elements from here. So sales order, the data element is this one. Let me out for quick cut and paste. And sales order and sales order type, sales processor type, created by user, and created date, sales organization, sold to party, total amount, is this total amount, total amount, okay, that's good, have it, and the transaction currency is this one, and finally let me go to these references. And that's it, done. And uh, this created by user is going to be, yeah, that's fine. So sales organization sold to party 35. So I'm just saving it in our package. That's okay. Going to the technical settings of this one and choosing the size category 0. That's okay. And now going to, sorry, enhancement categories. Perfect. So now we have our own database here. So we can implement our own logic right now. So to generate sales order number, so let us have a number object as well. So let me go ahead and create a number object, uh, THSO, and create one, and number length domain. Okay, and number length domain. Okay, so intervals, I'm going to change the intervals number range. I think we have something.
Jungle, is it SNR? Because
Yes, yes. Um, So yes, display intervals, number status is this one, and fine. Let me check with function module.
Number underscore get next.
Yeah, thank you. Uh, is that TH? Yeah. So we have this number. That's perfect. So intervals. Number status is okay. Fine. I think we will need to. Okay, that's fine. No issues. We don't need to focus much on it. So now really we will be entering into the JSON format. So JSON format, how we need this. So we have everything ready now. Now we will be going into the gateway client. So how we see after reading the entity set in our gateway client. Let me go ahead and add JSON format here. So we see this is the data, okay, when we get it. So now we are trying to uh, create request. That means we are trying to post instead get. So to post an entry, we should have the same structure, same JSON data inputted. So right now, the right side, whatever it is, we are calling it as a response. So now the left side, we are going to input something. So that is going to be called as payload. So this is the payload we need to prepare if we need to send the post or update. Okay. So I'm just copying it from get request and I'm just pasting it here. I'm going to remove this metadata. We do not need to input the metadata while posting, and also we do not need to input the sales order number. But if there is sales order number, it doesn't harm anything. But in our implementation, we are not going to consider the sales order number, because instead we are going to generate the sales order number as we are storing it in our custom table at the moment. Okay, so here sales order type is going to be OR, and there is one it's going to be blank, and this created user and the created date, these two we don't need because we will be uh, considering the system user and today's date, the system date as created date and created user, and sold to party and rest all the things here, total amount and currency. So they all controlled in the payload itself. So let me put INR, and let me take some other sold to party. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 maybe. Oh, okay. So this is again with respect to the sales organization. So here sales organization is 1010. Okay, let's not disturb this then. So now let's try to post this request. So while posting, we do not need this format. So if we run this with format, it's going to come back with some other error. So the service request contains system query options. That means this uh, dollar format as it is considered as parameter. So the request will not be sent to the server. So we will need to remove this one. And now let's try post. So it comes back with same, the method not implemented as expected. Yes, that's true. We have not implemented this post method yet. So let me go into our class here. So the sales order DPC ext. Let me go into change, remove the filter, and I can see all the methods related to the entity set. So now we see more methods because we have two entity sets created in our gateway project. So as we know that the implementations, all the HTTP methods, 5 types of HTTP methods or entity set relevant. So that is why we see um, uh, extra methods here. If you see in the service implementation, is someone waiting in the lobby? Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So in the service implementation, we have two entity sets. As I said, we can see all create and all these 5 operations or implementation methods are added underneath each entity set for runtime implementation. So we have seen this sales order set, and if we see this one item set, the methods are created for this one will be displayed here. So item set, the same we are seeing here in our SE24 as well. So we are not implementing the item set at the moment. So we are working on a sales order set. So sales order set, create entity. So this is the one we are interested in at the moment. Sales order set, create entity. Let me go ahead and redefine this method. So now the entity set implementation for post, we are about to put some business logic inside it. So here, okay, that's fine. So this is another case which we may be missing out. Let me show you in gateway client itself. Right now, this error is no more applicable for us. We have redefined it, but there is no business logic inside it. So redefinition of the method will suppress this message, implementation method message, but instead we will get a different message once we execute this one. So if you see in the context of data service and unknown internal server record, okay, so this is definitely is not returning any data. ER entity should have some data. And let me go ahead and put some breakpoint here before implementing something, whether we are doing the right implementation at the right place. So yes, so the debug point came here. So we are sure, we are definitely sure that yes, we are in right place. Okay, so if you see here, we have all these parameters again, importing parameters and exporting parameters. We should be knowing what we will be doing here. Okay, let's look at that. So now what we need to have here, we should see all the data, incoming data into our implementation. Then only we will be able to perform any additional task from here onwards. So whether it is the payload has the right data or payload is in the right format, or if there are any runtime determinations, etc., based on some other information and etc. If, for example, when I say runtime determinations, here we have sales order type. So if we want to divert some process based on this sales order type, yes, of course, we will be comparing this and we will be diverting the process. And also, if we want to retrieve this description of this sales order type, Yes, still this sales order type is a mandatory and it is required for us in that sense. Okay. So now let me go to this parameters, and we know this entity name and entity set name, source name, all these parameters from our previous session. And now IT key tab, again we know this. If there are any key fields coming in, this key tab will be filled up. And IO technical context, request context, yes, this also we know. So to get all these parameters, we can make use of this IO technical context. And navigation path, we will learn this soon. And IO data provider. So this is the new one which we see in our post. So the name itself saying this is the data provider instance. Okay, so this is the one we are going to use now to get the payload information. So payload, I'm referring to this one. So if we use this particular instance, the uh, provided by the framework, we will be able to read this information, get this information into our method implementation. So let me try to do that. So as it is an instance method, so there will be only one method here, read entry data. So control space, enter, you'll see the signature is inserted. And let me define it ls data. So let's see whether it accepts. So ls data has a generic type. So here the runtime or inline declarations will not work, because if you see here this interface, if I go inside this interface, these parameters will have type any. So that means we can't use unknown type declarations as inline declarations. So we'll not be trying this. So let me go ahead and just a minute. Yeah. And here, let me define this ls data. So what type of this ls data is data ls data type. If you see the returning type ZCL, it will come from MPC. Let me copy this one and I'll tell you what is that MPC. Okay. So this is the type which we will be getting the data. So if I go inside this type, see these are the types and table types created in our MPC class. So this MPC class, from where this MPC class is coming is, so the MPC class is one of our runtime artifacts. If you see here, so this is the MPC class we are talking about right now. So what this model provider class, does, whatever the types we define here, it just takes this as a reference and it creates one structure and one table type for us in MPC class. And say at the same time, if you look at these attributes, there will be constants created with our entity types here, entity types, type names. If you see, so in our program, wherever in our implementation, if we want to use any conditional something, whether this type is the entity type is this one, and we do not need to explicitly define or declare the constants. So they are all available in our MPC class. So like types, if you see sales orders type, so this is, where is this? Yeah, sales orders type. Not that one. Come on. Yeah. So sales orders type. What is its type? It is simply referring to the dictionary structure. So that is what we have done here. If you go to the sales order type, whatever the structure we are referring, so it copies the same. And wherever there is no dictionary structure, if you see here, this is the items, sales order items. it lists down all the properties and its type, whatever we have inputted here. So, and if I go inside to these properties, if we look at these properties, we have referenced a ABAP data element. If you remember yesterday, so if you go to ABAP types, it is referencing to VL and VA. So that is the information here. So now we can understand that whatever the change we make here, once we click on generate, what's going to happen? So that is the magic is going to happen every time. Whenever we click on generate here, the gateway project and gateway framework will refresh MPC and MPC ext classes with this information, with the latest information, whatever here. So for example, if I want to rename this one, yes, we are free to go ahead and rename it, rename the entity type, and that entity type will be replicated, reflected here only when we click on generate button here. Okay, so now we knew how these structures are prepared here. Okay, so yes, we have defined it, and let me remove this one and find ls data, and let me perform a check. No inconsistency is found, so I'm done. So let us go here now, and again let's trigger the post call. So let's see whether we get the data into our ls data. So this ls data will have all the fields of the structure whatever we have given basically. So it will not restrict us having the uh, fields those we have not selected in our gateway project. So if you come to our gateway project, if you look at our sales order type, we have selected here only limited number of fields, but in fact, it is referring to a dictionary structure. So that means we are referencing to the structure internally in our backend code. We will have visibility to see all the number of fields, all the list of fields available in this structure. So it is our responsibility to map these fields into the required fields of our target persistence. So in this case, in our specific case, what we are going to do is we will be mapping this information with our bespoke table that we have created our own. So what is the table name we have created? So this is the table name we have created. Let me bypass this debugger and let me go ahead to my implementation, and let's see. Um, I will need to have a structure for my table again. So, so that I can assign, or I can use corresponding to these fields, so that it just goes back and look for the field names, and it maps and assigns those values into this one. So here, if you remember, if you look carefully, we are not dealing with any multiple records. So always the payload is having or will have only one entry when we deal with post. Okay, and there are certain scenarios where we deal with multiple entries as well, and deep create of such scenarios. We will come to that at a later point of time. But for an entity set post, we will have only one entry as a root. Okay, so here we have just done this one, and let's go ahead. So we are yet to do something else. The number object what we have created, we need to fill up the number object and we need to insert the data into our table. Let me do that one as well. Uh, so number get next. I'm just calling the function module using pattern. So number range is A1 and number range object is TH. Uh,
Yes, so
TH, yes, true. Yeah. So quantity, I want the quantity one. Anyway, I'll leave it to the default one, and let me enable this and all the. So let me find out what type it is. The number is number. Okay, it can be type. That's fine then. So let me straight away assign the number here. LS table sales order number, sales document number will be having any number assigned to it and not equal to 0. Then let us insert into the table. Insert ls table into ZTH. So we can use the modify statement as well. Uh, um, into table. Yeah. Let me write modify instead. Okay. So this is where we will be missing something. Let me show you right now. We have inserted our sales order payload entry into our table right now. So but still there is something missing. So let me show you that is the mistake we will be doing in general. So go ahead. Yes, we have got the information into our table structure. Whatever the table structure, yes, everything has been filled up, and still we need to fill up the created by and the created date. So number range, yes, we have got the number. Fine. If we execute it, oh sorry, here I should uh, make it size of bus equal to. So in here, if you see, still the error is occurring. That is because in our signature, if we see ER entity. So if we send this response back, then the gateway framework, the request will turn into 200 series. So 201 created HTTP response code. So let me do that. Let me first change this one equals to, if we have number, then only convert that one. And so ls table created by equal to, and same thing for creation date. And this is fine. And now here, let us assign this back ER entity equal to this ls table, or we can still using corresponding to make sure we are not doing any mistake. Active. And now let's try triggering the request again. Fine. So the record inserted. Good. So if you see 201, the record created. So if you see here, the sales document number has not been coming up. Right? Can anyone tell what is the reason here?
Field name is different, is it?
Yes, exactly. The field name in response is different than this one in the structure. So from ls table, let me go here and why see here it is sales document number, and in our implementation, no, it should be same. Okay, yeah, er entity, yeah, in our er entity, it is referring to the structure. The structure doesn't have sales document number. Okay, so now we can do sales sales order equal to sales document number. Okay, yep, perfect. So now we have mapped it externally, explicitly saying, okay, that's fine, whatever is matching, you match it. Otherwise, take this mapping for this field and do mapping. And let me trigger the request now and see where we are able to get this information. Is it okay? So we have the expected output right now. So accordingly, we may influence our get entity set logic here, get entity set and get entity logic. So right now we have combination of standard sales orders and custom sales orders. So now in this case, we might need to club both of them. So right now, if you execute, okay, let me save this one first. This is going to be a sales order. That's fine. And not paging on filter post.
General commit work is not required here.
No, commit work is not required. Yes. So
The persistence it will take care of.
yeah, no change set will not come into here at the moment. So we're not doing anything related to that. Okay, so that is only applicable for batch processing. So each and every request, whenever it comes out as a response from backend, okay, so it considers the LEW has been finished and needs to commit the work. So as this is the external one, so the LEW completely finished. Okay. So in batch processing, we must say we must notify the backend system that okay. So in the same LEW or different LEWs, this is the uh, one. This is one set of data. You commit it, and I'm still working on another set of data. But in this case, LEW completely finished. Okay. Where are we going right now? Perfect. So I saved it and I'm going back to get. So in this get, we know there is sales order, the custom exists in our custom table. It will not bring this 9003 sales order anymore because our implementation is not fetching the data from our custom table. It is just only looking into the standard one and it is doing it. Okay, so this is going to be your exercise. So in your get entity set and get entity implementation, you try to club both standard sales orders and the custom table sales orders, whatever has been created. Okay, so you can still use the same table for your examples. Okay, so you keep creating the sales orders. It's not an issue, so that we have the more data in our table, so we can use it for different filter criteria. So right now I see the data created on my user only. Okay, on this user. But if we all together keep creating it, user IDs will be different. And if you want, you can change the sales order type as well and the different amounts and currencies, etc. So that it can be used to apply different kinds of filters when we are querying on our gateway client. Okay, so that is to create data. And now let's go ahead and look at the update functionality. So create in right now we are doing only plain creates. We are not getting into any of the complex scenarios. Okay, so there are deep creates and etc. We are not entering into there. We are just going ahead with the plain scenario at the moment. Whenever we include header and item scenarios, then we will be looking into or we will be having little complex scenarios. For now, it's all like plain scenarios. So now here, the next operation is going to be put. So this for put again, it is logically known that whatever the data exists, so we will be updating. When we say update, we will update some on something which already exists. Okay, logically. So update is not applicable for creation. So in that sense, we will be just applying updates on specific sales orders. Okay, so if the uh, sales order has been uh, 1 second, yeah, if the sales order has been uh, specified in this, then we will be fetching that sales order information and we will be performing updates to that particular sales order. So for that, let me go to header, go to get protocol, and let me execute and pick some payload. We need same payload actually. Otherwise, let me go back to my previous request, whereas I have my payload. That's fine. And on this one, I will apply update. So here I'll pick my sales order number here 90003 and sales order set. Let's specify my sales order number, and again let me, so in this case, as we are working on update, it is a must to ensure the key fields whatever we give in URI and in the payload are matching exactly. Otherwise we will end up in the gateway itself saying uh, bad bad request. So in our case this is going to be put request, so 9003. So let me change my uh, value. Okay, and this time, yeah, that's it. I wanted to update my total net amount here, so I have corrected my total net amount, which has been created or updated incorrect last time. So now, if we execute this request, we see the method not implemented, right? So we have not implemented this method. We are familiar now with this error message. Whenever we see this message, yes, we should realize that yes, the specific method in DPC ext class is not implemented. So that's what we should realize. So here if you see sales order set update entity is not implemented, let me go ahead and redefine it. So in this case, something else also should be running in our mind, that we have had similar situation uh, when when we were reading specific sales order. So if you look at this one, the key field has been given in URI, right? So now we know at uh, this key fields are coming into which parameter here. So IT key tab will be filled up with this sales order information. Okay, so that we will be reading this key field information to fetch the sales order information from backend. So let me activate this one first, the implementation, and now let's see uh, what information, what exactly response we get from our gateway. So now method is implemented, and what else we get? Let's go ahead. 204 updated. But in real, that this it's not updating anything. So it is our responsibility to ensure um, the correct information is being updated. That means we should do a existence check. The system itself will not go for an existence check. So if the entry does not exist, it is our responsibility to um, uh, raise an exception saying the entry does not exist. Okay. So here again we have IO data provider. So we will be working on these two parameters right now. So one is IT key tab and another one is IO data provider. IT key tab is to get the sales order number that has been provided in the key fields, and IO data provider is to read the whole data which is given in the payload. So here you may ask another question. So as I have the sales document here as well, do I explicitly need to look into the key field, key tab? Not necessarily, because if, for example, let's say I'm giving 4 here, so it should stop here itself. No, it's not stopping. It should stop here itself. So if you see, if we rely on this information, it's not going to be worth for us. So we must need to consider this key fields, IT key tab, for reading our parameters, the key fields of that particular uh, data set. So let's go ahead and read our key fields. So I would like to copy the logic from get entities, get entity. So you also can copy no limit, get entity. Here we are already reading the key fields here. So we can we can perform the same checks here. So let me copy the whole logic from here so that it saves some time. So here, if you see, I'm just executing it. I'm just reading my sales order number from key tab, and I'm doing a check here. Okay, so if Sai Sabasi is not initial, then I'm going to raise an exception saying and data does not exist. So here, business exception and technical exception, there are two exceptions. I'll come to those two exceptions, when to use which exception. Raise exception type, this one. Oh, come on. Okay, if you see here, we have multiple parameters available here. So I use the message parameter here. So I'll just say sales order does not exist in the system. Okay, as soon as I raise this exception, as we know the ABAP framework, it's not gonna do any further jobs on it. Okay, it is straight away going to stop the process. And also, this is not the only case we should be checking, because if you see, we are checking the standard one, standard CDS CDSU. But actually, if the size of us is not initial, and again, we should be checking in our custom table as well. Okay, so the custom table where we are saving this mine 003, so that we ensure we are checking both the entity sets. So here we do not have the ER entity. Uh, sorry, we shouldn't be assigning this ER entity at the moment, but instead exist and here we'll say single star if we want the entry to be updated uh, into so we have this one, and if again if there is no entry found in this one, then definitely we will be reporting an exception, else we will be writing our update sales order, standard sales order, and here update custom sales order, I would say. So here we will be updating the custom sales order. So here updating, when I say updating, let's put the update this table, set the all the fields, rest of the fields wherever the sales order number is matching. So sales document number we don't need to update, and what are the fields, non-key fields, sales order type equal to, we have the data, sorry, we don't have data yet, right? So let me read the data using data payload, and this is the type. If you see, the data is coming here, and we will be reading this data using IO data provider. So it's the same step what we have followed in our create. Okay, read entry data and enable these two parameters, and then pass this local variable which can store the payload information, and then come here and apply our updates here. So sales order type, and the same can be applied for all rest of the fields. So sales processing type, if I say sales processing type, and it is with the same name and created on creation date, we are not going to change that. And sales organization, yes, if it is coming, user decided to change the sales organization, we will change the sales organization. And sold to party, yes, we will be changing it. And the total net amount, we are changing total net amount as well. And also the currency. So this is what we'll be doing, and we'll be applying where clause here, where sales document number equal to, where sales document number equals to this one from the key field LV order number. Okay, so if size of bus is not equal to 0, then again we will be sending with a different message, update failed, entry found but update failed. It could be a locking issue or some other issue. We could specify that, but uh, exact operation or exact situation, if we want to convey back to the consumer, then we should be raising this uh, uh, exception again after updation. So sales order not updated, internal error or DB error, whatever the description we want, we can put that. Okay, so now let's check this one, and yes, we have some error, and this is not the one. This one is going to be the sales document number from our custom table. Yes, some errors. That's it. that was a copy typo. So now let's go ahead into our payload and trigger update request. So I'm just triggering and going ahead, and if you see my payload, so this is what my payload, and I'll be taking mm, it when I need to update the table. But before that, I would like to capture what is the key field. So this is the key field 90003, and yes, so this 90003 does not exist in my standard, and yes, it is not initial. Then go back, go here, and come here, and still it is saying Saisama C4. So this could be because we might not used preceding zeros. Okay, so let's go ahead and look our data how this is storing. Yes, there is no there is no zero leading zeros in this value. Okay, so same we need to do here as well. So now it's gonna raise an exception saying not exist. An exception was raised, and if you see what is the exception, so here it just says an exception was raised. And furthermore, if we want to look at the detailed error, so if we go into error logs here, error log button, if you click on this error log button, it will take us to the detailed gateway error log. So there are two error logs, gateway error log and backend error log. I'll tell you both of them. What is gateway error log and what is backend error log? It's still taking time. That's okay. Come on, it has gone. Okay, is it still reachable or so? As I noticed, if we are using the transaction codes at very first time, it is lagging a bit from system point of view. Error log transaction code, we have never launched it. Okay, come on, quick. Okay, all of them opened. So I don't need this one anymore. So if you see here, we see the error has been reported here in error log, and this is the error detail here. So in this error detail, we don't see any further information again. And here again, I will be walking through this uh, with you. So this one is the payload, the request data and the response data. If you want to see here, so this is the response data which has been conveyed to the consumer. Okay, so let me go to the backend error log.
Chandra, I see backend monitor also. What is that?
Yeah, that is same.
Okay.
Okay, so these are all the old messages. So that's fine. So from this, where is that? Yeah, from error log, I think you might have seen the backend monitor. First of all, I will need to see which exception I'm using. The exception business exception I'm using. Okay, that's fine. So usually we will be implementing the technical exception here. So we wanted to trace trace it in our backend error logs. So we will be using our technical exception and the message container, whatever we have seen in our parameters. So I removed all of them. Okay, so that's not an issue. So I'll come back with a separate topic for that one. I don't want to confuse you. So right now the intention is, so it is still erroring out because uh, we did not implemented this with leading zeros handling. Let me go ahead. Where is it? Yeah, order number.
For single, otherwise we can give the payload itself with put zeros.
Yes.
Preceding zeros, it will be do it. It should match.
No, we don't have preceding zeros. Our G table doesn't have preceding zeros, but the standard CDSU will fetch only with the preceding zeros. So for that reason, we must go with both the approaches. Either of the way, we must need to convert this one. So it's a quick one. I'll just say out and go ahead with it. That's fine. Done. So let me trigger this again. So this time, yes, not found, and that's perfect. And this time, yes, we found the entry in our custom table, and it's going to update the latest information and coming back with 204 updated status. Okay, so now if we see in our database table, we should see the latest amount updated in our database table. Okay, so this is just handling the update. The only thing we need to remember is um, update method from dpc ext needs to be implemented. That is one. And okay, what during implementation, what the parameters we should be considering. So data provider, in case if we are dependent on the payload data whenever, so even if it is okay, delete case it's different. Update and create point of view, we must be using this IO data provider to read the payload data, and also IT key tab to to know the exact key fields inputted from the source or from the consumer. And same time, let me go ahead for the uh, deletion implementation. Deletion, it's pretty simple. In all the places, definitely we will be doing all these existence checks. Okay, so once we do existence check, then only we will be performing the actual operation. So now let me go ahead and implement this delete entity. So this delete entity is applicable only for the sales orders existing in our custom table. So let me redefine it, and again I'm going to copy something from my update entity. So from update entity, yes, I need this one to be red. So let me take this one and go ahead. Instead delete, I will be using delete. where sales order uh, sales document number equal to, I think someone written. Yeah, okay. So sales document number equal to LV order number. So in general, we shouldn't be straight away going ahead and deleting it. So first we need to do a existence check. So if it exists in the system, then we delete it and we return back to the success codes. And if it does not exist, then we should tell the consumer that, look, you are trying to delete something is not exist in the system. So that clear message should go to the consumer. Okay. So now, uh, yeah, that's it. From here, we just delete it. Now I'm going to my okay. Let me put a breakpoint as well, and let me go to here. And this one, I think, not sure if I saved it. Uh, did I save that one? No, I didn't save that. Let me save this update. So, just case. And now I'm going to make this as delete. Okay. So for delete, we do not need payload. Okay, it's just key fields that are allowed or exist. The entire key field keys must be provided in case of update, in case of get entity, and delete. So these are specific projection to an existing record in the server, in the source system. So all the key fields must be provided in the URI itself. Okay, so now let me try to execute this request, as we have already implemented the delete. So now let me see if we are able to delete this entry. So we have got this key field, fine. So now let's delete it, done. And you see the response 204. So update, delete, the success code would be 204. Anything we expect to see 2 series. If it is a success, the response will be with 2 series HTTP status code. If something wrong, then it will be with 500 series or 400 series. If it is 400 series, the input itself wrong. So let's say if I'm saying sales order equal to, okay. So now let's see how it reacts. So it didn't even reach to the server. Invalid key property, sales order. Sales order does not exist. The property itself does not exist in our gateway project. You see, so we don't have sales order anywhere in our key fields. So our key field is only sales document number. So if there are multiple key fields, this is the way the multiple key fields will be inputted. So if you say sales document number, still it accepts. Okay, sales document number, we are there. And if you say uh, uh, another field, if you input another field, whenever we have multiple key fields, so this is the way we segregate between the multiple fields. So equal to, in the single quotations, let's put something like sales order type OR. Sales order type is not a key field. Again, we are going to receive the message key fields, invalid key predicate. So whenever we see these kind of messages, we should immediately realize that, okay, so the key fields, whatever we are inputting on the URI is not correct. Okay, so if there is only one key field, we can straight away give the value instead of specifying the field name, the property name. Okay, so now we are through with um, all types of implementation on a particular single entity set. So if you see here, everything has been implemented. If I double click on it, you will see a hyperlink on each and every method. So if you hesitate to open in your SE24, you can straight away come to SEGW and click on this one, and you can straight away go to the respective implementation. It straight away takes you to the respective implementation method. So you can make changes. If you are unsure where you are making changes, or if you're not confident enough to identify the method, you can straight away come to gateway and you can click on this one, and it will straight take you to the class method, the relevant method. Okay, so this is one, and the other one I would request you to um, have create multiple entity sets here, and just for sake get implement those two entity sets, then you will get clear idea how this is going to look like. So in this case, we have implemented complete one entity about one entity set implementation. The other entity set is not implemented with any single operation, HTTP operation. So if you are okay, I think I can continue implementing the other one.
Which one?
So I'll move on to the other topic, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So now we are constantly end to end. We have seen the way we implement on a single entity set, one complete entity set in terms of post, get, and update. Sorry, update and delete. So whereas we have seen two ways of get as well. So get entity and get entity set. So now we have something called expand, a dollar expand. If you see in odata.org, that is the easy reference. So let me go to V2 OData service and URI conventions and look for expand. Okay, so this expand stands are used to get all the dependent information in a single request. So meaning, if I want to know the sales order and its corresponding line items in one call, okay, that is the real example. If we want to get all the dependent information, so we will give the sales order number, and whatever the expand we need, then we just give that key, and it needs to have all the uh, respective line items created against that sales order. So in our gateway terminology, the build OData gateway building terminology, we call that as navigation. So if we look at this gateway builder, we have something called navigation properties under each entity type. So we are going to use this navigation properties to achieve this expand functionality. So now we understood what is expand. So expand whatever the number of uh, dependents the parent is having, it doesn't matter. So if there is a right implementation on a gateway OData service, proper implementation, then it is supposed to read all the respective information. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to implement or create another entity set here, so that we have created already sales order items here, but we are not referencing any dictionary structure into this sales order item. I would like to refer the CDSU if there is anything exist for sales order items, so that we can quickly implement it and see. Um, where is it? Let me pick my own launch. Okay, so my Eclipse has launched, and let me log into my Eclipse. It's okay. That's good. Let it. Fine. Let me look for I underscore sales order items, something like this. I type sales order, then IT, yes, sales order item. We have a CDSU available for this. Let me take the sales order item CDSU and pick up this SQL view name here. So this is what is going to be my,
Sure.
yep, yes, there's more noise, yes, yeah,
There are two names, right?
yes, I'll tell you why they appear. Okay,
Yeah.
so when we start about the CDSUs, so we will discuss in detail about that. Okay, so there are different aspects of this purposes, and we will discuss that further. But now, as I mentioned, you pick up only whichever is having data definition.
Yeah.
Sales or item data definition. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and uh, go into change mode. So now let me put my dictionary structure here. That's fine. So now I'm going to properties. This properties, we do not have the sales document number here. We'll need to remove it. Come on. Yes, that's fine. So now just right click on this entity type and go to import and properties. Let's pick up these properties, whatever we are interested in. So sales order, sales order item. So these two are going to be key fields for us. And now item type, what are the fields we need? Last changed material we are interested in, and if there is a plant, respective plant, base unit, for example, maybe item volume, item weight, uh, net amount, and transaction currency. Okay, so we may be interested in more fields as well, but I will just select only these fields for now. Let's go ahead. Yes, and now I'll make these two fields as my key fields: sales order and sales order item. So let's finish it. Done. So you don't need to worry about it. So now just save it. So as we have seen last time in our MPC class, let's see that one. For example, MPC class. So in the types what we have, there's sales order items. The sales order items have only one field, right? So now we have changed and referenced it to a dictionary structure. It's gonna override and regenerate this class, the whole class. So let's see that as well. I'm just generating it. So it has generated, it's been generated, and let me come back to it and go back here into types, sales order items. If you see this sales order items, where is this? Yeah, sales order items. It is updated with the structure. Okay, so if we create manually, we know that it's gonna list down all the properties that we have created in our gateway project. So now to achieve our expand, we need to implement the get entity the same way how we did for our sales order header. Okay, so there is no difference in implementing that. So we need to go ahead to the DPC ext class and we need to implement the get entity set of that sales order items. So now let me relaunch my DPC ext class. So change and go to the bottom and now check for get entity set. So let me redefine this get entity set. That's okay. So in this case, let me copy this series view name and try to select start from this one and into tab into corresponding fields of table et entity set. Okay, so now you know that I'm doing something wrong. So if the user applying any paging or filters, they're not going to work. right? So it's a straightforward, a simple statement to pull all the records uh, from database. Okay, so now we are ready with the implementation, get entity set implementation of item set. So let me switch back to get, go to entity sets and pick up my sales order item set. Okay, sales order item set. And also let me add the format JSON option to it and execute it. Yes, we got the response. For sales order 1, there are more items, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, there are more items for sales order. No, this is sales order 11. Okay, so we are not in navigation, right? So I'm just confusing myself. So if you see here for sales order 1, there is only one line item. Sales order 2, only one line item, I think. Sales order 4, one line item. And 5, 6, 7, 8, all of the sales orders has only one line item. That's fine, whatever it is. We are fine with it. We don't need to worry about it. So if possible, we'll try to add one more line item to any of the sales order if the system is allowing us. So now we have implemented the sales item set, get entity set. Okay. So now how do we link uh, these two entity sets for navigation? Okay, good. So now associations is the base to establish the navigations. Why? Because association establishes the relationship between sales order and sales order items. That means whether it is a one-to-one relation cardinality or one-to-n relation cardinality. So now we will need to create one association. Let's go and create one association here. So I'll name it association order to item. Okay, association. And here we see the principal entity. The principal entity means it's a parent. What is the parent? In our case, it's sales order set, sales orders type, sorry. And if we go here, principal entity cardinality from sales orders, it's going to be 1. And dependent entity is going to be items. And dependent cardinality is going to be, there may or may not be entries. So we choose for safety 0 to n cardinality. So let's enter and save it. Perfect. Now we have established association. And now in this association, there are referential constraints. We will come to that later. In the sales order header, whatever sales orders type, in the navigation, from where to where we are trying to build the navigation. So user will be navigating from header to items, right? So in this case, we expand the sales orders item, sales orders type, and we double click on this navigation properties, and we just create navigation property. So with the names to items. And here we will choose the relationship name as association, whatever we have created just now. It will be the association order to item. So it's just referring to that association. So the navigation is not doing anything here. So now Let's save this one. Okay, fine. So let's generate this one. Association and navigation properties are linked. So association, we need the association to be created to establish the relationship between the parent and child. The navigation properties uses the association to navigate from header to item or parent to child. Got it? So now we are all done. So this navigation property is very much important to us. If we go here to the gateway client, let me save this one as item, uh, test group, sales order, and items, get entity set, items get entity set. Now I'm not going to sales orders items right now. I am going to header. I am going to header or let me show you the metadata. Metadata also has been changed, which includes the navigation properties, everything now. If you see here, sales document, sales orders type, and also the sales order item type. So this is sales order item type and its properties. So if you see, there are two key fields in sales order items, and if you go further down, the association information as well included in the metadata. So if you see, this is the association included here, order to, association order to item. Okay, so now let me uh, go ahead. So if you see the navigation property as well, it has been included in the header type, the sales order type. So now it makes very big difference to you if I go and select sales order set and include the format option as well, format JSON. So execute it. Now you will see up to here we are clear. So it will have metadata. Yes, we know what is the purpose of this metadata. And at the last, if you see, there is a navigation property included in the bottom. So this navigation property included, and it says it is deferred. So that means it has not been requested. Okay, this request is not executed. Whenever you see this deferred, this is not executed. So upon request, this request can be influenced to execute. Okay, so in this case, these two items is a navigation property, which we can use this navigation property to get some additional information after this entity, this object. That means to against this sales order. So, and also one more interesting, in the two items, whatever the request you see, the deferred status in deferred status, that will tell us what is the exact path we should use to get the deferred information of this one. So if you see sales order set in the bracket 1, which is a sales order, and slash then two items. That is the syntax which follows using the OData standards. Okay, so up along with this, the expand key, without expand key, this is the way we get the information. Okay, so this is the navigation property. Using navigation property, we are navigating to know the sales order 1 details. And let me put that in our URI. Uh, okay, so two items. Yes, that's correct. And let me execute it now. Yes, we have got the information. And if you see the sales order 1 and sales order 2, sales order 3, everything, uh, whatever the information the OData service is returning, all the information is being fetched here. So as we are interested in only sales order here, but it is returning all the sales order information here. If you notice clearly, this information is coming up with all the sales orders, not only specific to the sales order 1. Okay, so here now we might be getting something in our mind that okay, so somewhere we need to restrict to get this information related to sales order 1 only, not all the information. So where could that be? So this is all the information. If we see clearly, this is about implementation of sales order items. So the navigation property happening referring to the get entity set of sales order items. That is what we have defined in our gateway project just now. So we have established a navigation from sales order to what? To items. So these two items, what is the cardinality we have specified? The cardinality is 0 to n. So obviously if it is 0 to n, it's gonna go to get entity set. So now let's go to the get entity set implementation of um, sales order items, and let's look at it, what's gonna happen. So in this case, the key field inputted in the URI is going to come in our key tab here. If you see in the key tabs, the key tab consists the sales document number. Have have we got a way to restrict it further? Yes. So now we need to implement the IT key tab here. So in general, if there is no navigation, it needs to work as it was working earlier. But if there is a navigation, we need to handle both the situations in our implementation. So here, let's take the key tab and pull the um, sales order information. So let me take this sales order information, sales order number here, and this number needs to be converted for our sake now. Because we are dealing with the standard CDS view. So sales order number will be put in where class equal to this one. So this query needs to be run only when the key tab is not initial. Okay, if let me show you that one as well. So as I know, I shouldn't be writing all this. So what kind of situation you will get? So until now, we have not implemented this logic, and it was giving us the whole sales order and item combination straight away from the backend from the DB. But now it's gonna restrict to particular sales order. So let me show you that one here. Execute. So now we are gonna have only this sales order line items, and if you see, only one line item has been returned. So for this particular sales order, there is only one line item. There are no further line items. It has been restricted. Okay, so let me save this one. This is sales order navigation uh, without 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 dollar expand, but using navigation property. Two items. Okay, so yes, we have saved this one. And if you see, I'm just going back. Sales order set. It's okay. Where is sales order? I want the sales order. Sales order item set. No. Yeah, sales order item set. So let me execute this one. Now we are not going to receive anything. We are going to end up in error. It's a runtime error because there is some code which doesn't like it. So we are just trying to focus or reading on some index of this IT key tab in this case, whereas we are not trying to fetch the information of any specific sales order in this case. So we are just focusing to get all the available sales orders and its items. So in this case, it shouldn't be ending up in this situation. So let's handle this situation. If IT key tab is not initial, then only do this. Okay. Otherwise, give me all the list of sales orders and its items. Okay. So now this will cater to both the requests. So if I say go ahead and give me all the list of sales orders and its items, yes, it gives me that. And if I go and ask to ask specific, where is this one? Navigation without expand. Let's select this one. If I go and ask for this information, still it goes and gets me the information of that particular one without having any hassles. Okay, but if the consumer doesn't want to really specify a sales order and get its items, he want to see, the consumer want to see the sales order, sales orders and its line items on single request. So in this case, what consumer needs to do is, first he needs to know the sales order number, then he needs to make additional call adding this navigation property to get the respective information. Okay, instead the consumer wants to get all the information in one call. So in that case, how we deal with it, that is where the expand key comes in, expand operation comes in. So if we specify dollar expand equal to two items ampersand format JSON, then this effectively it goes to the both entity sets on loop. Internally, it makes a loop on sales orders and it keeps calling these two items, which is get sales order items entity set, and it forms up the details and it gives back to us. Okay, so let me see, execute this request. So if you see, I have pressed F8, it keeps going on the loop. So let me remove this breakpoint. Okay, go ahead. That's perfect. Here you go. So if you see here now, it's pretty clear. So sales order one and its item, right? Sales order two and its items. If there are multiple line items, they will load, and sales order three and its items. There are no items, it's blank. For sales order three, there are no line items. Two items, blank. And sales order four and its items. Do you see this? Yeah. So let me save this one as well. So navigation with expand. With expand, $expand, using navigation, no, not using navigation property. Um, and its items in one uh, get call or request. Okay, so I think it's a more for today now. So we have seen how to implement the plain HTTP methods, all HTTP methods, and also the navigation properties with $expand. So for this, we need to ensure we have association created, and on top of it, the navigation properties on the parent side. And if we want a both side navigation, we should have these navigation properties created in item level as well. Accordingly, we need to maintain the relationships so that the navigation will happen both the ways. So I would request you to try creating it and try both way navigation, as we know how to establish navigation now. So thank you for today. I would like to stop here.
Yeah, thank